All right, I believe we are live for another edition of Beyond the CMS. It's edition 38, just a project I started about 3 years ago for the niche group of folks that are really curious about what leadership behind CMS platforms are thinking and what's new and staying ahead of the curve of content management. Just want to say a big thanks to anyone who's making time in their day on the East Coast at noon to listen in and participate. We do have
lunch break.
I know, right? Feel free to ask us anything. We'll be monitoring the comments in LinkedIn, and this is also being shared live on Facebook. But yeah, let's get right into it. Today, we have a special guest here, Matt Hudson from BILDIT. Thank you for taking some time to join us and to share your ideas. And you're probably a bit better at introducing yourself than I am, but yeah, welcome. And maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So for years, many years, I've been a mobile app guy. Worked on Charles Schwab, Sam's Club iPad. I'm literally the guy that submitted it to the store. There was a very big team that worked on it, but I helped submit it. And then eventually got into retail. Worked at a company called Belk here in Charlotte, $4 billion retailer. Got really heavily into e-commerce, mobile web, app, understood the marketing and the IT side. So I've been a software engineer since I was 12, but I also have a business degree from one of the best schools, the Sam Walton School of Business, which is University of Arkansas. And that unique position gave me an opportunity to, build something great. So a few years ago, I started BILDIT, originally as a mobile app platform, but quickly realized that there was no content management system for mobile apps, at least not the way that I expected it to be. Eventually saw that work really well and put it out on the web. And so now we have this really great, what we like to call visual experience engine, and which is quite different from a headless CMS. In fact, we often sit next to a headless CMS, but we do a lot of the same things. So I'm pretty excited to talk to you about, the intersection of AI and CMS and what does it mean for some of these systems and our work that we do on a daily basis.
Yeah, and I know folks that are listening now, and in particular those that pick up this feed later, are anything to do with AI and how it impacts kind of content and commerce is our particular niche and what our audience is curious about. Maybe just share a little bit more detail then. Why don't we just start right there? I know with Google's kind of latest announcement that they're setting up the protocols for kind of agentic commerce.
The next CP.
Yeah,
UCP,
exactly.
ACP.
Lots of CPs out there, Chris CP. Yeah, maybe just broad strokes, what's going on in the industry to start with, and then let's figure out where your platform kind of fills a gap.
I think it's really interesting, man. I was actually talking to somebody at Litmus 7 on a podcast yesterday, and I was in your spot in that case. And AI is impacting us in so many places, right? As a software engineer, how we build. As a marketer, how we generate content. How agents are talking to each other. How customers are finding products in replace of search. How it is affecting your on-site experiences and on-site search versus off-site with Google or ChatGPT or whatever is the glass that you prefer. Of course, how does it impact our jobs and how does it impact what we do in our jobs or whether we have jobs? There's just so many angles to it. But the way that I like to see it is fundamentally, I'm gonna boil it down to the core, okay? Because I really strongly believe in understanding fundamentals in order to understand the larger picture. Yeah. AI is basically typing for you. I know that sounds a little silly, but I watched this this meme, and it was basically like, look, programmer is essentially just somebody that's typing. Our fundamental job is typing, and of course thinking determines what we type. And so don't get me wrong, our fundamental job is solving problems and thinking and turning that into typing. If you think about AI as typing for you, which is different than almost anybody else thinks, I like to think in a weird way. That's why I have a mohawk. But if you think about it like that, what that means is that the prompt that you put in determines what is typed, which means input, garbage in, garbage out, so to speak, in the old software engineering world, right? So if your prompt is bad, there's only so much that these agents can improve it and essentially type for you. So the smarter the person is and the more knowledgeable they are on this side, the better the output's going to be. Now, that sounds pretty obvious, but the point is we call it artificial intelligence. But you're going to get a multiplier out of what you put into it. So what does that mean? That means some of us are going to be able to do a couple people's jobs, and some of those people might be displaced. We might be able to now do marketing such or content such that we're doing 10 or 15 times because it types so much faster than we do. But don't disqualify the fact that understanding the trends, understanding what to prompt it with, understanding what's going on out in the market, don't discount that as less important, because something that types really fast for you and does happen to have an enormous amount of knowledge. I mean, don't get me wrong, that is obviously an extremely important part of it. But it's not going to just do your job for you, right? We as humans already started identifying AI slop, and to be honest with you, it's quite easy to do. And I think it's also exposing human slop that was out there before in regard to what kind of quality content and experiences that we give our customers.
I'm with you. I had an experience just the other day over here at Dotfusion. We're starting to use stacks of agents to do stuff with one agent, covering a bunch of other agents. So we have a CMO agent, and it helps us with research and kind of an internal understanding of our customers so we can better serve them.
Right. What are the pain points?
Yeah, to help me, do a whole bunch of research faster than I could with a whole bunch of people.
Smart.
And just on the side, after it's been kind of really loaded up and prompted and trained on everything about Dotfusion, I have a friend who's a personal coach, and he was asking for some commenting on his LinkedIn post. So I thought, I'm going to ask my agents to come up with a really beautiful comment on the post. And there was a big trigger moment for me. The agent came back and said, Chris, I'm not sure this is the best idea. You told me that your communication platform is targeted at enterprise CMOs. Do you want your comments to be on a one-to-one small business coaching LinkedIn post? And
that's a very good agent, by the way.
Yeah, I kind of, it's my pal. I'm going to do what I want to support him. But that was the first time that I got some really good pushback from kind of the governance agent running the other agents, where normally it's like, for sure, I'll do this, and like has bells on. Hey,
Chris, that's a great idea. And by the way, your beard looks great today.
Amazing, right? So that was a pushback moment and a sign to us that, they're exponentially getting the hang of it. But to your point,
I think so as well. And me and my head of engineering, we do a ton of experiments. We've been building agents or lane chain or working with models and experimenting for 2 years now. And, we built something he calls Smacky, which is basically a cat. And the cat is got that cat personality, which basically is meant to tell him why his dumb ideas aren't going to work. And it's meant to take something from one of the sycophant AIs and give you a more realistic perspective. Because look, I appreciate the encouragement that many of them are providing, but it is not giving most of the time a really strong pushback when we really need it. And there's no outside of our own human judgment, there is no estimation of how good the response is, right? They're not saying, hey, look, I'm not sure about this. If you talk to a really intelligent person, they will many times tell you what they are unsure about, or they will weigh it for you. And if you expect whatever's coming out of there to be authoritative, true authoritative sources will tell you, I'm 90% on this, I'm 50% on this. So I think these are some of the things that we're coming across now, like you said, where it affects our daily jobs. And it kind of goes into that question of like, well, how are we ever going to let this scale and do a lot of these things for us if we are still going to be heavily involved in the judgment process? Because I can't see a time where any brand is going to just let AI talk for it yet. Maybe it will. I'm not sure though.
Yeah, who knows? And it's funny. It's almost like I'd rather challenge the relationship I have with a person who makes a mistake, because there's a thoughtful way of dealing with that, than kind of being worried about what AI sent out there without me knowing it. I can manage people and their insights.
Well, people, this is the whole issue, right? And again, I always try to boil it down to fundamentals. Fundamentally, AIs are trained on data that we don't know, 6 months behind. They do not have the context outside of the conversations that you have. My ChatGPT now knows BILDIT's business very well, and almost everything that I do, it now kind of brings in BILDIT. I was asking it about the James Garfield movie that was on Netflix, and I was just waiting for it to be like, and BILDIT would be great for this. And I'm like, what? No, I mean, it didn't. But I was just waiting for that moment to be like, mixing all of the context together. But the point is that the people in your business and in your room and in the retailer and the e-commerce or whatever it is that you're doing that's producing content, they understand the context of your news cycle, your region, the way that you speak, not just your brand voice, but also what's going on in the company. I had a guy give a pitch deck, and he was from overseas, and he used a rocket in his pitch deck. You know which rocket he used? The Challenger. And so you come into a room of people that saw the Challenger explode and are like, what? So my point is AI doesn't know what's going on in society. And if it makes a mistake, or it talks about something that's sensitive because of sensitivity, I'm bringing up easy examples, but the point is it does not have the true context that the humans do in your business. They don't know what is being sold faster than other things. They don't know what brands are on trend in your business. And yes, they may have an idea, and yes, you can train it and you can get there. But the little details of authenticity are extremely important to other humans.
Yeah, totally. I have a funny feeling we could just hang out and chat for a couple more hours on this topic.
Oh yeah, you're right.
We want to pull us back into understanding some of your vision and what you're building and how you're serving.
Oh man, I love it. Let's talk about it, because I'm a little, I like to challenge the status quo, and I think that that's what BILDIT does. When we call it a visual experience engine, the thing that is important about it, and actually why AI unlocks us, I think, better than many of the other headless CMSs or headless CMSs. We are definitely not a headless CMS. Where we get unlocked by AI is that we actually manage the layout in the front end of the page. So it's not just your data, and it's definitely not a schema. From my perspective, a marketer should never have to know anything about a schema, and I'm not saying they always do, but to me, that is a limitation. And I'm not saying it doesn't belong there. In a governance engine, which is a headless CMS, it does belong there. But it also provides undue limitations on what I can do with my templates and my front end. If I want to do a video player or animations or carousels or Instagram style stories or really beautiful, unique content, I ought to be able to do that as a marketer without the IT group, without a schema, for God's sakes, right? And be able to do it really fast at lightning speed. Now, here comes AI. BILDIT uses code. We believe code is content, because whenever I was building websites when I was 18, last time I checked, it's all HTML, right? And that's what content always was to me, not data, not the schemas. And again, I'm not marginalizing the place for those things, but in regard to what the user's experience is, it should load really fast, give them a really great experience, no matter what that they're doing. And I ought to be able to send out the killerest content of all. I ought to be able to do any kind of content, not just titles and images and basic stuff. I want to be able to adjust the layout. I want to be able to change the order. I want to be able to edit it with a visual editor. I want to be able to preview it in the future. And I want to be able to see my really advanced content and deploy it without the IT group. Well, to do that without just a crazy drag and drop thing that makes it extremely hard to do, you let the tech team build these killer templates for you. We deploy them. The Headless CMS can manage the titles and the, whatever pieces, but we manage the layout. And what that means is that marketers can make really great content. In fact, you could literally tell ChatGPT to make a carousel in React, it is code, of course, or HTML or whatever, and you could literally paste it into the CMS in certain cases and deploy it. Cool. And it, of course, checks it for you, make sure that it's safe and all of that good stuff. And usually you're going to use a template. But my point is that with the power of AI being able to generate these pieces of content, we're not going to be able to harness that if all we're sending out is the schema. Mm-hmm. I want to be able to, as a marketer, send out 90 or 100 segments personalized to my customer with only one marketer. Well, to do that, I've got to be able to see all of those things in real time, see what they look like, test them, see what they look like on mobile, desktop, preview for tomorrow. I've got to be able to do that in a sophisticated way, but I want to be, my dream is for one marketer to be able to do it. And with AI and our templating engine and the way that we work, I think that can be done. And I think it can be done and still give the user a really fast experience, not the least of which does not ignore mobile app like many of the others do. Our mobile app solution is even better. And so we're able to generate really killer content for your mobile app that is unlike any of the other CMSs can do out of the box without a lot of IT engineering anyway.
Very cool. Do you want to, let's go a little bit higher level. What problem does your tooling solve, and who do you speak to mostly? Like, who would be most interested in what you're doing?
Well, it's a funny problem, but what we like to say is give your marketers independence from IT. And at first I was like, oh, IT's not going to like that. And then I realized, oh no, IT loves that.
They got other things to do.
Yeah, the marketing team, like their interests are not aligned. So we want to be able to give the IT team the ability to make really fast server-side rendered content, right, in the language that they want, and to do all of the fancy personalization and animations and all the things that they want to do. And we want the marketer to be able to deploy it and customize it really fast and easy. So honestly, we sell to both.
Cool.
And to tell you the truth, it's like IT signs off and marketers are the ones trying to solve a problem, which is they want to get everything out to market fast. So realistically, we do both. And if you ask yourself, what are the problem that we solve? I would boil it down to being able to make really cool content fast and not just basic data title content, which is different from, I think, what a lot of the other systems are doing.
And this would be for web and mobile and app, like kind of doesn't matter where this content shows up?
It does not, because again, they control the code. The templates are written responsively. The native app is basically the same language. So the templates are slightly different, but basically the same, or they can be converted in like a minute. And it just gives you a really powerful ability to drop in sophisticated content fast. We have a templating engine. So that templating engine allows the IT group to make sophisticated templates that adjust layout depending on the type of person that they are, change colors, images, change animations, change the layout of the template, right? Move things around. But the marketer's got to be able to adjust it quickly, right? We don't want to be making a new template just because somebody wants something on the left over something on the right.
Right.
Or whatever.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, always a challenge on our end. We call them, for lack of better words, component controls, and we like to get that kind of discussion and vision out of the way before the software engineers.
Well, it's very hard, right? You put those limitations in up front. And by the way, we've done implementations of headless CMSs, and they do a lot of good things. And by the way, like I said, we sit next to them often. Sometimes we are pushing our variants into their system. But that doesn't even get you into personalization, because there's another problem with personalization, which is your API calls go through the roof. And then boom, your costs are through the roof. And so personalization is very tricky. But we do personalization differently. We do it on the front end. That way, the customer is getting a truly personalized solution without a ton of API calls. And that's how we won the Future of Mock Alliance contest, is talking about that. And in regard to AI, I mean, the way I see it is that someday we're going to get these miniature versions of content inside the chat. I was in ChatGPT today, and it pulled up a calculator that was, which was code, right? So I'm envisioning a day where your carousels may go in to ChatGPT for your 20% off Ralph Lauren or whatever. I think that's not that far away. Google was already experimenting with it. Well, if you're just sending down data, how are you going to give them those great experiences?
Mm-hmm. You mentioned Mock Alliance. Many of our CMO customers, colleagues don't know what that is.
Sorry.
Can you explain that? Yeah, I just love your way of explaining it.
Mock is... I think it's a really great idea and concept, which is essentially that you get the best of breed and they can all work together.
Yeah.
So if I want Cloudinary DAM and I want Content Stack and I want BILDIT, that they all work together, right? They're all API based. There's no vendor lock-in. Or if I want authentication from Stravosity or Auth0, I can pick. Right. And so the idea of Mock is that you enable people to not have vendor lock-in and move faster because they all talk to each other and they all agree to work together, basically. Right. They're very oriented around e-commerce, but also, speedy solutions and unopinionated APIs. And, there's some other pieces to it that are interesting. But the concept is that you can compose what you want with all of the solutions together.
Yeah, interesting. It's kind of like a very large scale marketplace of tools that work together.
It is a marketplace, but it's a human oriented thing. We get on meetings together. We talk about what we're doing. In other words, it's a band of people that like agree to work together, even though they compete. You know what I mean? And I think that's really important because there's overlaps and there's substitutions and alternatives. And, some people do a little bit of both. And so, if you perceive everybody around you as a competitor, you're never going to get, as a customer of those people, you're not going to get the best out of them. And so the idea is, hey, look, we all know we overlap with each other in certain ways, and some of us compete. But if we all work together, then we can provide the customer the best experience, the retailer or whoever it is.
Yeah. That leads me to a discussion I often have with kind of traditional composable platforms, and that's around total cost of ownership. And as an agency, we're looking for this magical solution to help our clients up front kind of like know what they're getting into. And it's the argument they make to us for sticking kind of monolithic is like, hey, we can take
3-year TCO,
get it approved, and we know what we're doing. Any thoughts on that, or any? Yeah,
I mean,
if there was a Mock calculator, and if you're using mock tools, you go to the plugin, all the stuff you want, your guess at consumption, and there you go. It's like, we're really transparent. This is about what it is. What do you think?
I don't have any specific anecdotes.
Yeah.
However, what I know is that if you want the best of breed, it's not the budget option. Right? If I want to put the best stereo in my best car and the best wheels and the best rims, they're going to be different brands, and it's not going to be the cheapest, but sure, I can go buy I don't know, what's a common car now, like a Ford.
I don't know. Yeah.
Escort. It used to be an Escort. I don't know even know
what it is. It was my first car. Red.
Was it? I had a Ford Ranger.
Yeah,
so
cool.
Now I have a Hyundai Santa Fe, the newer one, which is super nice. But then my point is that, first of all, mock is for people that want the best of breed, that want to decouple themselves from specific vendor, or not specific, but from vendor lock-in, and that also want to be able to build what they want, and they want to be able to change something out in the future when the technology changes.
Yeah.
So the reason mock is popular, in my opinion, is because in 3 years, when we got to rebuild this whole thing, all the mock companies are able to switch out. And that's where the cost, if there is savings, that's where it comes from. It's not from the front end. Monoliths are always going to be cheaper on the front end. And yes, they're going to provide a certain amount of value as a monolith because they're all inclusive. All inclusive is great, but it's not the best of breed. So to me, it really just depends on who you are. Are you a BILDIT guy? Not to use our name on purpose, but if you're a builder, yeah, you want mock. If you are just want to buy, then and you don't want to build, then go buy the monolith with everything in place for you. But you're going to be locked into what they want to do, their promotion engine, their pricing setup, and if they don't add stuff to their platform, you're out of luck. So it just kind of depends on who you are and what you want to do. From my perspective, I don't really look at either one as bad or good or better.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
However, I will say this: I do love the mock concept that we all work together as vendors. I think that part is where they just excel better than anything.
Yeah, I agree. And as an agency, there's a dependable, predictable kind of standardization. So like even our devs, we can move between mock products fairly easily. So that, just that investment in.
Absolutely. Versus the monolith, I mean, you might switch from one of their core products to their other product and it's completely different. And you're like, oh my God, I can't handle it.
Lots of oh my God moments.
If you want to move fast, that's the other thing. Moving fast and being able to keep up. I mean, I think that's why it's called mock, or at least that's what I always thought.
I like it.
It's moved at mock speed, right? That's the point. Yeah. But you're not buying a Ferrari for $100,000. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just checking the time when we are almost out, but always run a bit long. I do want to kind of have a snapshot for kind of a snippet post later where you can kind of really just describe BILDIT in a really focused way. Simple simple terms. Yeah, bring it.
Well, to make it super easy, what BILDIT's dream is that one marketer can make content for all of their channels, for all types of people, personalized, highly performant. So that's the overall dream. If you wanted to categorize us, we are a way of giving you really killer templates. Cool. Really killer templates. Drag and drop a carousel in, swap out the images, deploy it today, done. To me, that is what we do better than anybody. We do have great scheduling. We do have, strong personalization, geolocation, a bunch of just a million other little features here and there. But at its core, if you have trouble putting out templates at the speed that you want and promotional content, or even let's say you want to change components on your website or mobile app, we do that. So if you think of us as like a front end manager, where you want to change out the logo for, Christmas to be an animation or like a little carousel at the top, you can do that with us. You don't have to just swap it out to be an image. You can drop in a carousel into the logo spot. Maybe it's a little rotating Santa hat or whatever. The place order button inside your mobile app, you want to switch it out, you can switch it out from our CMS remotely.
Cool.
And that is incredibly powerful. I understand that that's not something you might do all the time, but being able to manage every component, schedule it or not schedule it, from the basis of code as a marketer is extremely powerful. It's really just giving you that IT sophistication and what they can do, but in the hands of the marketer.
Very cool. If you don't mind, in parting, what's kind of really cool as far as ideas go that you're thinking about these days? Anything really perplexing or like, what's awesome?
I have this dream, and again, I mentioned a little bit earlier, but MCP UI. And what does that mean? Model Context Protocol UI. There's a lot of people talking about the web dying from the browser perspective and that we're all going to go to chat. Now, look, I don't necessarily buy all that, right? But it is clear that ChatGPT and these others want to own the glass, right? They don't necessarily want you to go visit the source website, right? Like 15% of traffic has dropped from click-throughs in Google to 8%. Well, that's a 50% drop in traffic that people are seeing. That's an insane amount. Well, how do you give people the inspiration and the great experience from your website, but in the chat that's going to be owned by that glass? Or maybe it's Siri, or maybe it's an app on your phone or whatever, right? That's MCP UI. What I mean by that is, what if I could deliver my promotional content, my 20% off Ralph Lauren, my Instagram style stories, my carousels, or whatever, directly to ChatGPT. So when it searches and says, hey, can you show me the coolest Ralph Lauren stuff that's going on? And it knows that Ralph Lauren's website has got these really beautiful models and inspiration for every quarter. And it lands right there and it's like, hey, Ralph Lauren's website's got, well, they're never going to have 20% off, but like, here's the Ralph Lauren website header and a carousel, and and you can click through to it, or I can tell you about what's there. Or if you're a JCPenney and you want people to know that you've got 20% off, and they know you're a JCPenney person, and I chat with ChatGPT like, hey, what's JCPenney got on sale, and it sends me what's on sale via the website MCP and a little UI that's like, hey, dude, here's the really cool stuff that's on sale, or here's how to add the coupon to your bag right here. That's what we want to do. We want to send over miniature versions of the experience to the chat via Model Context Protocol.
Right on. Yeah. I'm thinking AI iframes, but in a more sophisticated way.
Like a portal. Right? Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Very cool.
Now, look, I don't know if that's going to come to fruition, but today, like I mentioned, I saw a calculator, a little web calculator that ChatGPT gave me. Google did a demo of little miniature UIs inside the chat. Well, look, if you're losing traffic, you're going to have to provide these companies, if you want them to buy ads, you're going to have to let them put the kind of content they want, not just I'm going to say a goddamn link. A link is not enough. Having that little tiny thing say source there is not going to cut the mustard if I'm losing my traffic by 50%.
Yeah.
So,
awesome.
And look, I'm going to buy ads, but you're going to have to help me at some point and deliver me the traffic, or let me have the experience in there. So it's going to be one of those two things. They're either going to sell you a ton of ads, which, don't get me wrong, people are going to buy ads, but like you don't want it to be just ads. You become disingenuous, or you're going to have to let me have the experience in the chat, or you're going to have to do a better job linking to me. And right now they are disincentivized from linking to me, right? They want me to stay in the chat. So.
Right. Awesome, man. I just got a whole bunch of more things to chat with you about. Maybe we could have you on again to show off your tools, actually, in kind of a demo day type of thing.
Oh, I'd love to do that.
I'd really love that. But really great thoughts and ideas bouncing around, and got me super stoked. So thanks for that. Made my day. I'm going to go grab some lunch, and just want to say thanks to anyone tuning in now or later. Oh, by the way, Matt, how can folks reach you? We'll put some links in the LinkedIn chat.
Best way.
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn is where I live at.
Awesome.
And I would love to answer questions. Generally, as long as you're not selling me something too hard, I will accept your request as well. Even if you're a sales guy, I'll accept your request as long as it's not too fake. Just be cool about it, okay?
But if you got good rules for life, just be cool.
Yeah, just be authentic. Like I'll add you back, and I'll talk to just about anybody. I just have a curious mind. So if you got questions, you got ideas, you think my ideas are stupid, let's hear it. I want to hear it.
Awesome. All right. Well, the way this works is I'm going to hit a button here and it'll end the stream. Hold for a moment. I just say thanks personally, but to anyone who's joining in now, we're going to sign off, and we'll catch you in a couple weeks for another episode.
Thanks for having me, Chris. I really appreciate what you do, man.
Awesome. Let me see if I can get these buttons right here. All right. See you, everybody.